Hi everyone, happy St. Patrick's Day from Cheryl at Tinker's Cart Art. I couldn't not pop on today of all days and paint something for St. Patrick's Day. So I thought I'd pop in really quick and show you how to paint a little wine glass with a little Irish gnome on there. We could call him a leprechaun today, I suppose. And we could make his beard red if we wanted to. So anyways, thanks for joining me. I wanted to do some glass painting for a while now, and we will, hi Georgiana, thanks for coming on and watching. I wanted to do some wine glasses and some glass painting with you guys, and I will plan some more classes, but let's just do this quick, fun little wine glass, and you can see how easy it is and how fun it is to paint on glass. Hi Patty, hey Kay, thank you guys for all watching. I'm going to show you a little bit about prepping the glass and what kind of paints to use and all that. So let me pull you up. I'm going to pull you up on my computer so that any comments or any questions, put them in there and I can answer as we go along. So let me just pull you up here. And then I'll point the camera down because I think it's easier for you guys to see actually my hands and a close-up of me working than seeing my face. So I'd love to see you guys, but hey Patty, let me make sure I'm here. Yes, I am. So any questions, feel free, put them on there. I'd love to hear from you. What's everybody doing for St. Patrick's Day? It's a different St. Patrick's Day, isn't it, this year? I'm a big St. Patrick's girl. If you don't know, I own an Irish import store. So this is the high holiday for me, and this is a big day. And without festivals and parades this year, last year too, we did get our Irish festival in last year, and then shortly after we were closed down. But Tinker's Cart is my Irish shop, and you can always look me up on Facebook or on the web. And anything Irish you need, I can help you out with that too. Hi, Kay. Hi Kim, thank you guys for watching. I won't take up too much time, but I wanted to just pop in and do some little St. Patrick's Day project. So anyway, let me put that camera down and I'll show you what we're gonna do, okay? And there we go. So this is the glass that we're gonna paint today. It's a little gnome. And I have a lot of gnome glasses with hearts for Valentine's Day and all sorts of little polka dots and things, but let's just do this one because today's St. Patrick's Day. All right, so what I do, and it's just ordinary glassware, and you can get your glasses anywhere. I get them a lot of times at Bed Bath & Beyond. There's always a coupon. They have a nice quality glass. I like these big glasses more than the little heavier ones. But first thing I do is I clean my glassware off with some alcohol. So I'm just going to take a little alcohol on a cotton ball and just clean it off, only because if there's any grease or any, thing from your fingers and whatnot on there, it might impede the paint adhering well. You don't really need to do the inside. I just saw some little dust there. Sometimes you paint the stems and the bottoms. We're not today, but you certainly can. So all I do is give that a good swipe with the alcohol on the cotton ball, and I let that dry. And while I do that, I'll just show you what we use for paints. Pretty similar, and some of the same paints we use when we're doing our wooden projects and our canvas painting. The difference is they're either a gloss enamel or an enamel paint. So if you see any of the paints with these little glass emblems on the top, those are safe for glass. These Deco Art in Americana gloss enamels also. You can tell if it says on the label for glass, ceramics, you're good to go. So I like these paints for my glassware, and I will tell you, afterwards you can fire them, bake them in your oven, and they are, then that paint is fired right on there, and I even put mine through the dishwasher. I don't know if I'd recommend it, but I do. And after they're baked, the paint is not going anywhere. And I will put the directions of the baking on the in the comments. They're also on the little bottles, but you would need a magnifying glass to read it. But I do have it written out, and I will mention it when we get done, but I will also put it in the comments. So let's get started. He's super simple. I'm going to put him right here. And let me know, you guys, hi Eric, if you guys can see this okay, because I'm working with the camera a little close, and I'm looking at it on the laptop, but I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing. Hi Mary Jo, hi Kay. So great to see you guys popping on in my last minute. I will try to give you some warning next time that I'm going on, but sometimes I just get in the mood, and here I am. Okay. just need a little bit of each of those colors. I put way too much out all the time. You don't need even that much. So what I do first, and I'm going to just freehand this gnome on, but if you're more comfortable getting your design sketched first, it's very simple. You could draw on a little piece of paper and just tape it or hold it inside the glass and go by that. But this guy's pretty simple. You really don't need too much. I'm going to just take, and let me see if you can see my color. I'm going to pull this all over and squish it in, and hopefully you can see my colors. And I just have a fleshy tone here, which is well, actually, you know what? Let's wait a minute. We're going to do the beard first. I forget little gnomes don't have faces. They only have those noses. So let's put in the beard and the hat, and the nose will go right on top. I'm going to mix up a gray for his beard. It's just some black and white. See if I can push that into the camera. I go pretty dark because I want to lighten up each layer of the beard to white. So I want to start rather dark. And it's really just a little shape like this. It's like a little circle shape. The paint on the glass is a little transparent, but no worries because just like everything else, we can put a second coat on there. I'm using little strokes. I'm going to use some little strokes that look beard-like and hair-like. Can you see those little strokes I'm kind of making? And we're going to let that dry a little bit, and we're going to put on his hat. So that little hat is kind of curved here, the way the gnomes' hats are. And aren't the gnomes great? Don't people love gnomes these days again? I love it. I'm so glad gnomes are back. I've always loved gnomes, even way back, was it what? Gosh, the 70s or the 80s where they were so popular? Now, it's just a green hat. So I'm going to just take my green enamel paint, and it's got a point, and it's going to just come down. And you'll see, I'm not really worrying about it too much, so it is a little different from that one. This one's hat is a little shorter, but I'm not going to worry about that because I can always bring it a little bit down on the beard if I need to. I'm going to try to have it facing up so that you can actually see what I'm doing. And can you see the green is really transparent? So we're going to let that dry and do a few coats. I think I'm even going to get out a darker green to shade with this too. So I'm going to do it this color to begin with the base coat. And I'm kind of on the fly fixing the shape and whatnot. So if I had traced him on with the paper, I'd probably been better off. But I like to freehand things on, and we'll just see how they come out. You can make a little set of these. Wouldn't they be great? And like I said, you don't have to, you could do his hat with Easter eggs on it or flowers. So you can just learn the technique here and then, you know, do it in different patterns and designs. Okay, I mean, how easy? No face, really? He's going to have a nose, but he's got a beard and he's got a hat there. We'll let that green dry. Like I said, we're going to use a few coats. I'm going to grab a darker green for that shadow too. So let me grab that. I thought I had all my colors out for you, but apparently I did not. And even if I mix it with a little, I think I'll just mix it with a little dark blue to darken that up. So that's all we need. And you can see again, the little icons on the top of the paint are an indication that those are for glass. And ceramics too. You can do the same technique on ceramics, really. And not just glasses, any glassware. You could get like a little cookie jar, or the little votive candle holders are really cool too. So you can see the gray is already dried. It's drying pretty quickly. I'm going to work on his beard a little bit now while that dries. Again, I'm using the gray, but I'm going to mix up a little lighter shade. I'm going to get lighter and lighter until I'm working with just some white. Although, like I said, as a little leprechaun, he'd have been really cute with a little red beard. So you could use like kind of a gingery, like this color here probably, and make a red beard, and he would really be a leprechaun. Okay, the strokes for the beard. I'm going to start at the bottom, work my way up in layers. If I did not, and I started here, your subsequent strokes would kind of cut off the top one so they wouldn't lay right. And just like when I tell you guys when I'm painting flowers or leaves and trees, I always start a particular way, the way the grass grows or whatnot. So we're going to just, and I'm using my wide brush, but on the chisel edge. You could very well use a liner brush too if you wanted. And I didn't really talk about the brushes, but they are just the synthetic brushes that I use for my canvas painting. They're a synthetic fiber brush. They're not expensive, But again, and I know I nag you guys all the time, but if you take care of them, they will last a long time. So make sure you rinse them out when you're done painting. And then in between, you don't want to leave it sitting on the palette or on the side with paint on it, because it will harden in there rather quickly. So can you see I'm doing just a lighter gray, not white yet, just a gray. And I'm just going to do, I'm kind of using these kind of strokes with just pressing a little bit, lifting my brush. We've done that a lot of times for grass and different things. If you want a nice thin line, you just give a little pressure, but then pull it right off the canvas. The glass. Pull it right up and off. And can you see how you're going to just get those nice, thin, feathery strokes, which are great for a beard. And you'll see the dimension we get. Instead of going from gray right to white, we're going to do layers, and we're going to slowly build up our color. And then when we put the white on, it's really going to pop. I'm going out over the edge of the beard because I want it to sort of be feathery. If you feel your paint is dragging a little bit and getting a little too thick, a few drops of water in your paint. Whenever I'm doing detail work, you'll see I'm always adding a little water to my paint, just so it's more like ink and it flows nicer and it's not too heavy. And let me take a look at the comments. If you guys, oh, hey, Joan. If you guys are here, say hello and tell me where you're watching from. That is always so fascinating for me and for the other people watching. We had people the other day from Puerto Rico and Hawaii and all these cool places. And I'm painting here today from Central Mass. We have a gorgeous day. It is probably 50-something out there, and then tomorrow night, snow. So this is New England. One extreme to the other. Looking forward to spring. So I'm a little lighter. I've pulled a little more white in here now. And I'm just using these strokes from the bottom, and I'm working right up to the hat. I'm going right over the edge of the hat. It doesn't matter. I'd rather do that than have the strokes start too low, because we're going to cover that with a few coats of green. So let's do all the way up over that hat, filling in all the gray areas. And it's already coming along. Now I'm going to just dry my brush off, and I'm going to scoot into just the white. It still won't be too bright white because I've got the gray in my brush mixing with it, but it looks pretty good. It looks like it's not mixing too much. I'm adding little bits of water again to thin it down. And again, use your liner brush if you feel like that is better. The liner brushes, these dagger liner brushes, are really good for thin lines like this too. And I'm kind of at a weird angle because I want you guys to see it. Usually I would probably turn this and work different ways, but I want you to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. And here's the white paint. And I'm just going to, this will probably be the last time I do the little beard here, because the white's really popping nicely. And it's not something you can plan. You can't say, okay, everybody do 3 coats, and I just eyeball it, and when I think it's done, it's done. Nothing to say you can't go back later, and if the paint sort of sinks in a little bit and loses the brightness, you can go back and add whatever highlights you want. Is anyone doing anything special for Patty's Day? I know it's a Wednesday too, which is kind of weird, but anyway, there we go. If you can paint yourself a little glass, next year you'll have it in time for your celebration. Okay, I think that looks fine. What do you guys think? I think it's a little bit grayer than this one. I'm going to keep going and then come back maybe with just a few little highlights of white if we need it. What I want to do now is concentrate on getting that green hat covered solid, not streaky like that. So let's do a couple coats of green on that. Myrtle Beach, Terry. I wish I was in Myrtle Beach. I bet your weather is better than ours. Okay, so I'm just going to do exactly what we did already. I'm going to paint over the little hat. We'll move this little guy. And now you can see I can go over these little jaggedy lines that we made. And you can see this is pretty translucent. And I'll give you a little trick. If you find some of your paint, regardless of what you're painting on, is translucent and just not covering, if you add a little tiny bit of white, it's really makes your paint a little more opaque if you need to. And there's another coat there. And let's just let this dry for a minute and do another coat, and then I'll show you the shading. And the little shamrocks are fun to do too. But you can really see that you can see my little lines through here. So let's kind of go over it a bit. Now the thing about trying to get good coverage, if you keep going over it while the paint's wet, you're really just taking the paint off that you put down. You really need to let it dry well in between. So we're going to let that dry a minute. And I am going to just tell you quickly about how I cure these in the oven. I just take all the glassware I want to I want to say fired. It's not in a kiln. It's really not fired, but it is cured in your oven. You put your glassware into a cold oven. You don't preheat it. And I have to read my own directions because I've done it a million times, but I can't retain numbers in my head. So I put them in the cold oven, and then I put the oven on to 325 for 30 minutes. Then when the 30 minutes is up, keep the glassware in the oven, let it cool down first, and then you can take them out. I do like to wait, once I paint these, I like to wait 12 hours for the paint to really dry well on the glass before I bake it. So you can paint, 12 hours later, you can bake it in your oven. And after that, like I said, I do put mine in the dishwasher, but you might not want to. I wouldn't, if you were making them and selling them, I wouldn't recommend to people to say that. I would hand wash them. So while I'm waiting for that green to dry, I think I want to play around with that dagger brush that we just had a second ago, because I think I could get some nice long white strokes. I'm going to get some clean water into my white paint here, and I'm really thinning it down. Any questions about the firing in the oven of your glassware, let me know. And let's see, anybody else? Oh, Kansas, and you're cold and windy. Yeah, we were windy too. It warmed up today, but again, tomorrow it's going to get cool down. We're going to have snow overnight into Friday, and I am hoping that would be the end of it, and spring is coming. But we're in New England. We've had snowstorms in April, so we're ready for anything here. Okay, so now we're just going to give can you see how these strokes are just really popping out, and how thin you can get them with this liner? And I'm just going to kind of go over the edge, make it kind of fuzzy looking. Oh, and you notice I do kind of go straighter in the middle and curve to the sides, however you want your beard to be. Now I'm not going to go up into the green. I'm kind of preserving that. I don't need to. I've already got some paint tucked up there, and so I'm just doing this. And I think that is where I want to leave it. Okay, good. That's enough texture there. I don't like that last one. Hang on. We're going to just... And like anything else when we're doing our canvas painting and in our acrylic work, remember, it's not the end of the world. You can fix and touch up so many things. So enjoy your painting process, and don't worry about it too much. Because look, I'm going back and forth here with my light and my dark just to touch up that little one spot I didn't love. But remember, we can fix anything. And if you ever have a problem in your painting and something's bothering you, send me a picture or in a direct message, and I'll certainly kind of help you along if you have a little issue. I would be glad to help you. And I did mention this before, but maybe not so much for glasses, but for my canvases. If you think there's something off or a little wonky, if you take a photo of it or look at it in a mirror, you would be so surprised at how those little mistakes jump out. You all of a sudden can see it like, oh, geez, that's what it is, that little bit. And sometimes just letting these things stay for a day and looking at them the next day, you are in love with your painting. So this is dry. It's got a little shine to it because it's an enamel paint. This enamel paint is good for all sorts of things, like if you want to paint maybe a flower pot or something that's going outside. It's nice for that too. Okay, so I'm just going to get this coat, and this coat is covering very nicely. And while this is even wet, I can show you how I shade a little bit on that. You can see on my glass, see how it's dark on one side and a little brighter on the other? That's just a little shading I do, and I'll show you how I do that when I get to it, when I get to this coat on. And I kind of like to work wet and wet when I'm doing some shading. And if the paint does dry, I can show you how you can still get a nice blend. So there we are. That's a great coverage. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mix up, just with my brush, a little bit of a darker green. And I don't have a darker green, so I'm going to just mix some of this blue, if I can get it out of the container. There, we're going to mix a little of that blue with some of our green. We just want a darker green. And I don't really want to mix it with black. I don't use black a lot. I'd rather use colors to get a dark. It's a nicer, richer dark and more interesting than just using black all the time. Can you see that blue is going to just darken that green up? So I'm getting kind of a blue-green. What a fabulous ocean color, right? If you were painting the water, this would be great. I'm thinning it down a little because it's very thick. Okay, so I'm going to do my dark shading on the left side here of his hat. And I've just got my whole brush loaded with it. And I'm just going to take it and kind of paint up that side. If I get a little of that green mixed with it and it's too light, I just go and I add some more. Okay. So that's getting a little darker on that side. I think I need to let it dry a little bit more to get it as dark as I like. And so I'm taking just the green we used here, and why I'm doing that is just to get a blend there. Okay, same thing with that. I've got this really lime green here. That's going to be my light shade. And I'm just going to go up the other side of the gnome's hat with that. I like to have a light side and a dark side usually. It makes the object looks rounded and gives it dimension. It's not just a two-dimensional thing, it's a three-dimensional object. I'm using a very light touch now. If you're too heavy, you could pull some of the paint up from the first coat. You can almost see through here where I started to pull up a little of the original paint. So use a light touch, and if it looks like it's pulling up, just let it dry a little bit more. And that's not a bad blend, really. If it was a little bit more of just a straight line looking, you could just take some of your green and sort of blend it. But it looks pretty good. I'm going to let it dry good and go back so I can get rid of that little bit that looks like it was coming up. It's a good time to put our little nose in, which gnome's great. You don't have to worry about eyes and mouth. You just put a little nose in there on him. Okay, I'm going to mix up a flesh color. This peachy color is just too dark. It's actually a good color to shade the nose with, but let's lighten it up with just a little tiny bit of white. There we go. We're going to get more of a flesh color. Alrighty, and it's just a little nose right in the middle. You don't have to trace or worry. Just kind of do a little nose right here. Kind of did it more of an oval shape, I guess. A couple of coats will cover. Here's another little tip. If you are doing some painting on top of something dark and it's just not covering, or you know it's going to take a lot of coats, I would base coat it in white. So take a little white, right? And once you put the white on there and it dries, you can go easily over it with your flesh color and it'll cover in one coat. So I'm just going to throw a little white on there just to get it covered. Okay. What do you guys think? It's getting there, right? Little by little. And wait till you see how fun the little shamrocks are to paint on top of his hat later. Hey, you know what I might do with this one? I might paint shamrocks all around the glass. He'll really be a St. Patrick's Day glass. You could even do it on the stem here. I mean, on the bottom of the wine glass as well. Sometimes if you want this area to be a color, you would paint the bottom. So you paint the whole bottom a color. Say you did it dark green, you could again go on top after with light green shamrocks, and that would be kind of a cool look to finish off your glass as well. Any questions at all, kind of put them in here. I can answer. I'm multitasking. I can paint and answer because I'm waiting for that to dry. So why don't we throw some of those shamrocks I was just talking about around? Here's my little trick. I've shown you some little brush stroke, some one-stroke painting. I'll show you a little demo with that. I'm going to take this light green, say, for my shamrocks. Maybe make it a little more green, so we got that. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to use this green, and then I need a dark and a light. So I'm going to mix up a little more of that dark green, and I'll show you how I can load my brush with 3 colors and get a little shamrock all at once. So let me just get a little pile of this darker color. We need some little piles of the paint. And we've got the light, and now we'll use that as our middle. So I have a middle shade. Flat brush, load it with the green that we just is our middle shade. And what I do now is I just take a little bit of that dark on the corner of my brush. It's looking to me like it's a little bit too of the same shade. Let me just add some just blue by itself. Then I'm going to add some of that light green. So what I'm doing is taking a brush loaded with our middle green, a little corner in blue, and a little corner in the green. And what that's going to do is all in one stroke give us shading like this. We'll have a dark side and a light side. I just put my brush on here. And I know it's glassware, so I hope you can kind of see. I don't know if it's too glary on there. It is a little glary, isn't it, on the video? I just kind of press and pull, press and pull, press and pull, and then I make a little stem. And so there we've got a little shamrock. You can make all sizes. For instance, if you want to make one just smaller, little smaller flat brush, same green, tiny bit of blue on one end, tiny bit of light. This is pretty teeny, so I don't worry too much about it. And this is kind of how we'll make the hat, the shamrocks on the hat, only those just need to be light green. So you could just do the same thing. Let me do it up here so you can sort of see. Press, pull. So it's like pressing and pulling in and then giving it a little stem. And so all around the glass we'll have a little scattering of shamrocks. And I'm not going to worry about where they go. I'm just kind of putting them every which way. So why don't I do some little ones while I have that brush, and then we'll do some bigger ones here and there as well. I usually only get one shamrock out of it, and then I have to reload. So I get one, and then I press, pull, and there we are, little shamrocks. Maybe when my hand is in there, you'll be able to see it a little more. Get some new paint. And it doesn't matter on these little guys. As long as there's a little dark and light here and there, it doesn't matter if it's all, where it should be. So I just take more green each time, a little bit of dark, a little bit of light. Press and pull. I'm going to try to sometimes get 2 out of that. I may be able to. And I know it looks translucent, but it's a nice look. Once these are baked, they have a nice translucent look to them, the shamrocks and the painting do. And I just want to put a couple here. And again, remember, if you're painting these, you can go crazy. You could do them on the bottom and on the stems and wherever you would like. I'm going to do a few of the big ones, and I think at that point, our nose and hat will be dry, and we can put the finishing details and the shading on those. So here we have the same way, only a bigger brush. A little bit of blue on one corner, a little bit of light green on one, and it's just a matter of pressing and pulling, so you get a little bit of a shamrock leaf shape, press and pulling right to the center, and then just a little stem. And press and pull. See, I've lost my shading because I didn't load my colors up again, so we'll quickly do that. And I'm going to show you this on something white so you can really see what I'm doing. The glassware is cool, but I'm not sure you can see exactly what I'm doing there. So let me just put one more here. And let me just do it on the plate for you to demo. I start with just the green, a little bit of blue on my brush, the corner, and a little bit of the light green. That's a little much. And it's just a little pressure and pull. A little pressure and pull. You can almost twist the brush if you need to. A little pressure and then just pull it so you've got a point. And then your little stem. So pretty simple, but it does take a little practice, and there's no reason why you can't just practice all over your little plate here. And you can see how I'm losing my darks and lights as I go. So I do try to reload each time. So I have the 3-color look on there. All right, let's go and see if we can finish up our gnome. And then you guys can get on with your St. Patrick's Day celebrations. I know there's not been much, but there's been a lot of Irish sites and a lot of bands and things all streaming all day. So it's been one way or another we get our celebration in. Okay, so I kind of think that this hat is pretty decent the way it is. If we want it a little darker, let me just make up, hang on there. Let me get a little bit of a darker green again. And I'm going to just on that left side of that hat, just get it a little darker. There. Okay. And again, if I needed to, and I want to get it blended a little bit, just the green that we used, and I'm just going over and softening it while it's wet. I think this side looks pretty good. I'll put a little green on there just to wet it, and then back with some of the bright green just to brighten it up and blend it. Okay, so this, just a dry brush now. I've taken my color off. I'm just using my dry brush to blend those two colors that are wet together. There, I think that looks great. I think that's fine. While I let that dry a second, before we put the little green, light green shamrocks, let's just finish up his little nose. He just needs another coat of that flesh color. And again, we're just going to go right over just what we did there. And that is good enough. I'd like to give it a little bit of a red or a brighter little shadow across the top. I'm going to just use the peach color that we used to mix the flesh and not mix it with white. So if you just go right across the top, because the flesh is wet, you can get that nice little shadow there. And finish it off, I always give the nose a little highlight. I'm not even rinsing my brush, I dried it off on my paper towel, taking a little white. Just make a little, oops, I've got some sort of weird thing on there. There we go. I just take and do kind of like a little comma stroke there. Gives it a little highlight. I'm looking at the nose and I like my shadow. It just looks like a little bit of a harsh line. Easy to fix. Just take some of the flesh color and just soften the edge if that bothers you. There. Nose, he has a nose. I can see his beard through there a tiny bit, so you can just keep going over that till it covers. I am going to use that tiny square brush for the shamrocks on his hat. If you didn't have a tiny square like that, you could certainly use your round. It's very easy. They're just little strokes like we did. I am going to, you know how I mentioned to you that if something is a little translucent, you add a little white and it makes it more opaque. I have a feeling that this green by itself is going to be a little translucent. So what I'm going to do is just take a little white with it. So I'm taking that green with a little white. I'm making those same little strokes. And I like the way that shows up a little more. I'll go back and forth. For each shamrock, I'm going to reload my brush. And it's just press in and my little stem. And press, 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 little stem. Get new paint each time. If it's too translucent, keep adding a little white if you need to. I do not mind it like this though, with the little dark showing through it. It just gives it a shadow without even trying really. So you can see it's a little trial and error. Try it, and if you like it, fine. If you don't, mix it with a little white. Make as many or as few shamrocks on this guy as you like. Little bits of them showing there. There, could that be easier? What do you think? And again, I would maybe put some on the little bottom there if you'd like. So I just wanted to pop on and show you that. What do you think? Was it fun? How easy was it, right? And paint on the glass is really cool. It's a different texture altogether. It's not like the canvas. You don't have that little rough texture. It's smooth, but it really is fun. Hi, Karina. Hey, Crystal. How are you doing, honey? My niece is watching and she's an artist too, so I want her to show us some things that she's working on at some point. Hi, Daryl. I told you I might pop on and paint something Patty's Day. So here it is. Hey, Jen. I'm glad you guys are all watching. I hope you're all having a fabulous St. Patrick's Day. This video stays up, and I also put it on YouTube. So look for it on the Facebook page. Follow me on YouTube, Tinker's Card Art. You'll always have the videos there. If you have any questions about the paints I use and whatnot, just send me a message. Any questions at all in the comments, I'll answer those. And now we can go have some drinks with our gnome glasses. Hey, Mary Jo. Cute. Yeah, it's really fun. Little votives, like I said, little bowls. You could paint on all sorts of things. And this guy has the shamrocks on the back. You could personalize each one with a name on the back or on the bottom of the glass. That would be fun if you get together with your friends and everybody has their own glass to take home. So, okay, listen, get on with your celebrating. Have a happy St. Patrick's Day. And I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.